All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle something that is, well, it's just incredibly frustrating for so many people. Why is it so hard to learn a new language, even when you feel like you've been trying for years? I mean, does this sound familiar? You've put in the hours, you've studied like crazy, and you honestly feel like you're getting somewhere. But then the moment of truth arrives, you actually need to use the language, and poof, something just doesn't connect. You've learned all the rules, right? The conjugations, the tenses, the proper sentence structure. You could probably sit down and ace a written test on it, no problem. And your vocabulary. It's huge. You've gone through stacks of flashcards, made endless lists. You literally have hundreds, maybe even thousands of words all packed away in your brain. Then it happens. You're in a real situation. A native speaker asks you a totally simple question, and all that knowledge, all that studying, you can feel it. It's right there on the tip of your tongue. And nothing. You just freeze up, the words vanish, the grammar evaporates, and that feeling, it can really make you think, I'm just not a language person. But what if I told you that's just not true? See, the problem probably isn't you at all. It's not about having some special language gene or some innate talent. It really comes down to how you're learning. It's all about the method. And this brings us to this incredible guy, a linguist named Stephen Krashen. His work basically turned our whole understanding of language learning on its head. He argued, look, it's not about how talented you are. It's about getting exposed to the right kind of input. So his big idea is something called comprehensible input. And it's actually pretty simple. It just means we learn a language when we understand messages, not by memorizing rules, but by hearing or reading stuff that's just a tiny bit above our current level. The key is understanding the meaning. That's what matters most. And that right there, that gets to the absolute heart of why we freeze up. There is a massive difference between knowing about a language and actually being able to use it. It's the difference between knowledge and a real skill. Think about it like this. Over on one side, you've got all that passive knowledge, the grammar rules, vocabulary lists, all the theory. But on the other side, you've got the active skill. That's the real-time stuff, speaking, listening, actually interacting with people. The problem is, most schools and most apps, they live almost entirely on that left side, in that knowledge bucket. It's kind of like this. You just can't learn to swim by reading a book about swimming, right? You could become the world's leading expert on fluid dynamics and the butterfly stroke, but the second you jump in the water, you're going to sink. Language is exactly the same. It's not a theory, it's a physical, active skill. You just have to do it. Okay, so if just reading the swimming manual isn't enough, then what does work? Well, it really boils down to 3 key parts, this learning triangle. So pillar number 1 is input. That's the comprehensible input we just talked about. You gotta have the language coming in that you can understand. But then, and this is so crucial, you need pillar 2, output. You have to actually try to use the language, try to speak it, try to write it. That's what forces your brain to connect the dots. And finally, you need interaction. That's where you get that real-time feedback so you can see where you're going wrong and actually fix it. Which brings us to a huge pitfall, what I like to call the illusion of progress. This is when you're doing stuff that feels really productive. It feels like you're learning, but you're not actually getting any better at, communicating. I bet some of these will sound familiar. Memorizing long lists of random words that have no context. Drilling abstract grammar rules that you never actually use. Cramming for a test just to get a good grade. These things are easy to measure, which is why schools love them. But they just give you that illusion of progress. You feel busy, but you're not getting ready for the real world. Okay, so you could have the perfect method, the perfect learning triangle, but there is one last piece to this puzzle. And honestly, it might be the most important one. It has 0 to do with grammar and everything to do with your reason why. So you have to ask yourself, what's really driving you? Are you learning because you have to? For a grade or a deadline, some kind of obligation? Because that kind of motivation, it's fragile. It'll burn out. But if you're learning because you genuinely enjoy it, it's fun, you're passionate about the culture, you want to connect with people, that's an internal drive, and that is what will keep you going for the long haul. So let's just quickly run through the biggest traps to avoid. Number 1, waiting until you feel ready to speak. Spoiler alert, that day never comes. Number 2, trying to be perfect and being absolutely terrified of making mistakes. And number 3, only doing passive stuff, like listening or using an app, without ever actually trying to produce the language yourself. Which brings us full circle, back to the most important thing I want you to take away from all this. If you've ever struggled, if you've ever felt like you failed at learning a language, please stop blaming yourself. It's not you. It's your method. You're not bad at languages. You're probably just taught using a system that was designed to fail. But here's the really good news. Once you understand how this stuff actually works, you can completely change your approach. You can start making real, tangible progress, the kind you can actually see and feel. So the only question left is, are you ready to learn the right way?